Well, the Denver Nuggets lose in OKC. No Jokic, almost no problem. Man, what a spectacular game from Aaron Gordon. The Denver Nuggets show that when they got to go to that small five lineup with AG at the five, they got something special cooking. It was really a defensive showcase for both of the teams. We got to talk about what happened yesterday, what this team looks like without Nikola Jokic, and also, are there any takeaways from the OKC matchup that we can actually look at? We're going to talk about all that and more here, Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper, your team every day. So glad to be here with you today, even after a loss. Now, I know it's not one of our favorite episodes when we come in here. We got to talk about how the Denver Nuggets lost the game. But I will say this. They played versus the OKC Thunder in a really great game in which SGA struggled in the first half. But then in the second half, he was able to get going. But it ended up being a really competitive game. The Nuggets were up 13 at one point. OKC was up 13 at one point. And it was really a knockdown, drag-off defensive performance where, Chet Holmgren really might have been the most important player in the game. SGA played a spectacular game, put up really good numbers. But the reason why the Nuggets struggled so much offensively because of Chet. Now, SGA ends the game with 34, 7, and 5 on 10 and 22. He was a -1 in the game. Chet Holmgren, though, 18 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. He had 5 blocks yesterday. He was a +13 in a 5-point win, and he was 7 of 13 from the field and 3 of 4 from 3. And that really ended up costing the Nuggets because at the end of the game, Michael Porter Jr. had a chance to get a rebound that would have put the Nuggets in position to get a last-second shot down 1 with about 20 seconds left in the game, and he was just not able to come up with that rebound. Obviously, Porter has shown he's a great rebounder at different points in time, but at that moment was not able to get it done. The Nuggets yesterday, Jamal Murray, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 6 of 14 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, and just 2 free throw attempts. And he had 2 blocks as well. He was a +1 in that game. Michael Porter Jr., 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 assists, 6 of 17 from the field, 3 of 9 from 3 with a steal, but he was a -16 on the day. Now, here's the thing. Definitely criticism to be levied towards Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. They played an average game for them yesterday, probably would have won yesterday's game. Jamal Murray is having to deal with getting paged by Lou Dort, SGA went out on a case of Wallace. They had a bunch of defenders that were throwing multiple bodies, and every time the Nuggets were trying to set a screen, look, as long as Jokic is in the game, OKC basically was content with blitzing him at the pick and roll. So every time he tried to get over the top to get Lou Dort off him, we're showing. So either you getting trapped, get the ball out right now, or you're going to have to just deal with Lou Dort. And some of this is that Jamal Murray, in the first game they played in OKC, let me say this, by the way, because the Nuggets are now 1-3 versus the Thunder this year, and obviously they lost the season series. But the Nuggets haven't played versus OKC with like normal conditions since the first time they met this year. They played in OKC. They won by 33 points. The next game, they didn't have KCP. They closed the game with Christian Brown and Peyton Watson because they're trying to see if they can get a really good look out of the young guns. They end up losing the game. Bad offensive process to close. They were up 8 with 3 minutes and 15 seconds left as well. Weren't able to close it out. And then on the other end, they played OKC on the second night of a back-to-back. Only scored 93 points in that game, got dominated. In this game, obviously no Nikola Jokic. So I think there's more context to be had that if they see each other in the playoffs, they get rest in between, all the players hopefully are there, then I think it's obviously a different story in the series and it's a playoff setting. OKC, they also do a lot of scheme managing, meaning that when they play you, they will basically draw up a very specific scheme for every team they play against, which leads to a lot of regular season success. But the Nuggets, they're just not playing them in the same way. Like a lot of teams are, because you just don't want to show your hand too much. But not a great game for Michael Porter, not a great game for Jamal Murray. 32 points combined between the two, and they shot 13 of 30 from the field. So it's not terrible, but it's just not good enough when you don't have Nikola Jokic and your number 2 and 3 highest paid players on the team. KCP last night had 11 points and 6 rebounds and 3 assists in 36 minutes played. Defense was spectacular. He was 3 of 10 from the field, which is 3 of 9 from three, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Y'all, KCP was a plus 13 yesterday. Plus 13. That's incredible. So Jamal Murray was a plus 1. That's decent. Michael Porter Jr. minus 16. He was with the bench units that were getting blitzed last night and just didn't make a big difference on the game, which is not like him. Aaron Gordon yesterday, though, y'all. 16 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists. He was 7 of 16 from the field, 1 of 10 from three, but he was just 1 of 6 from the free throw line. In a game they lost by 5. He had 4 blocks yesterday and 1 steal and just 1 turnover with heavy usage. And he was a plus 7 in a game they lost by 5 points. Dogs. Somebody already said AG was a dog last night. Aaron Gordon, man, his ability to be physical, his ability to rise to the occasion. He met Chet Holmgren at the level on a Chet Holmgren attempted dunk, blocked it. He was running in transition. He was dishing the ball and passing. To get a 16, 13, and 7 game from him, man, like he's basically been their 4th or 3rd best player over the last year and a half since they've been on this championship window. And for you to be able to have a player like that, where they're sitting in a situation where they don't have Jokic, but hey, no worries, Aaron Gordon, we need you to step up your play and you need to play the 5. To get a 16, 13, and 7 game from him is really, really incredible. And so that's why I think for people, when they look at the Nuggets, they learned it last playoffs. But when you have a team where you can get a 35, 5 and 5 game from Jamal, which he did all series versus the Lakers, when you can get a 25, 10 and 5 game from Michael Porter Jr., which he's done. He did that similarly in the playoffs. And if you got obviously, where you're getting Nikola Jokic, who's giving you a consistent, 30, 13, 10 in the playoff setting. And then obviously you got Aaron Gordon, who's giving you a 15, 8, and 4 kind of performance, and he's playing elite level defense. And then you got KCP, and then who we're going to get to in a minute, Peyton Watson, Christian Brown, Reggie Jackson. That's a lot to deal with, plus Michael Malone's coaching. I think that's what makes them so dangerous. So really, really great game from AG last night, y'all. But Peyton Watson, man, he got a start yesterday. No Jokic. He steps in. He only plays 21 minutes yesterday. He plays 21 minutes. He's in foul trouble in the first half and in the third quarter. Malone just doesn't go back to him, I think, because of that. And he felt like he needed some more veteran shot making and guard play out there. So he had 9 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 assist. He was 3 of 10 from the field, y'all. He was 1 of 4 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He had 1 block, 2 steals. Did y'all know in a 5-point loss, y'all, in just 21 minutes, Peyton Watson was a plus 13. Him and KCP were tied for a plus 13, man, and he is just continuing to show there are levels to this. Peyton Watson has just taken his play from, hey, fringe guy, he's going to be a really important player for the Nuggets. They need him to play well too. Man, the Nuggets are a way different team. And again, versus Boston, versus the Bucks, versus Philly, versus OKC, versus whoever. He is just continuing to show that there are levels to this, man. And his defense was incredible. When he was on the court, man, you had KCP, AG, and Peyton Watson on the court next to Michael Porter and Jamal, and they just offer so much resistance. And I would not be shocked that once the playoffs roll around, that he gets to this point where you're throwing him out there to be a defensive ace and you're not scoring. Y'all, this is how crazy this is. Peyton Watson's an even better defender than Bruce Brown was last year. That's crazy. He's an even better defender than Bruce Brown was at every level. POA, off ball, weak side rim protection. Like, he does it all. And I think the thing is that if you're getting in a situation where Peyton Watson is continuing to play this confidently, and yesterday the funny thing was Peyton Watson had key mistakes. He had a foul that he didn't need to make in transition. He was being a little bit too touchy in that third quarter where he got into the chest of SGA on a drive, got called for a 4th foul. Once Peyton Watson really learned to control his space and his body, the impact that he's going to have is going to be incredible. And he was the reason why the Denver Nuggets were even able to stay in the game like they were yesterday. Like I said, a plus 13, that's incredible for him and KCP. Reggie Jackson yesterday, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Bad defense last night, though. He was 2 of 3 from 3, 5 of 12 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line with 1 block. He was a minus 12 yesterday. And Christian Brown, 10 points and 5 rebounds yesterday, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Really important minutes, minus 12 as well. We're going to get to the rest of the bench in the second half, in the second segment, because there's some stuff we need to get into because this is kind of matters for the rest of season prospects for the Denver Nuggets. We're going to wrap up the OKC conversation in segment 2. We'll be right back. Locked On Nuggets. So y'all already know PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's the easiest and most exciting way for you to play daily fantasy sports. It's you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more or less than on a 2 to 6 player stat projection and watch the winnings roll in. This week on PrizePicks, you know what? I'm taking Steph Curry for more than 29 points, or Jokic versus the Portland Trailblazers for more than 10 rebounds. Luka Doncic more than 32 points. And then LeBron's not playing tonight versus the Boston Celtics with injury. But when he comes back over 7 assists, I feel comfortable with that. PrizePicks even offers a reboot policy so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players get injured. For football or basketball games, Super Bowl is coming up. If you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an insurance policy. So go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. We'll be right back. Locked On Nuggets. So, y'all, we are here for segment 2 of Locked On Nuggets. This is your host, Swiper, your team every day. Actually, I'm going to add in, we're going to talk about the All-Star reserves that I have picked out for this upcoming All-Star game. And it's going to be an interesting name that I drop in there. I think some of y'all might like. But y'all, to finish up this OKC game, Reggie Jackson was a -12, Christian Brown -12. Justin Holiday got some key minutes yesterday, got 5 points, 1 rebound, 2 or 3 from the field, 1 or 2 from 3. He was a -7 in his minutes with the bench. Zeke Naji played 9 minutes yesterday. He played 8 minutes and 46 seconds, if I remember correctly. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, y'all. 8 minutes and 46 seconds, -12. He's just not in a good headspace right now. He's not playing well. He doesn't look confident on the court. He's not playing with the tenacity that the Nuggets need. There are just a lot of things that he's just not been able to get to as a basketball player, and it's really hurting the bench unit because they were relying on him. They weren't planning on relying on DJ to this level, but they gave him a 4-year, $32 million deal. Now, some of this is trade ship money because if you need a larger salary, $8 million, that's a really good deal. You can put $8 million plus a future first-round pick protected, and you can give that to a team for a really valuable high-level role player that you needed. But you want Zeke to play better, man. Again, I remember last season versus the Indiana Pacers when there were no Jokic. They started, I think it was Michael Porter, Jamal. And they ran a lineup of Jamal Murray. It was Bruce Brown, Christian Brown, Zeke, and AG with the bench unit. And they went crazy. Like 3 straight dunks. And Zeke was so impactful as a switch big. So the formula's there. Remember versus the Clippers last year, he got dunked on twice in that game, but his defense was really good. And the Nuggets won that game because Zeke was starting at the 5. And when he is locked in, he feels comfortable. And again, his 3-point shot, first 2 years it was there, and it just dissipated. So I hope Zeke can continue to get his confidence back because he really adds so much to this roster, man. It's just about – and he's such a great athlete. He's 6'11". He's legit 6'11". He's huge. And he is just in a situation now, man, where he's just not able to rely on his confidence like he needs to, and it really hurt them. And had he had good minutes yesterday, I think they win the game as well. But, y'all, let's talk about this. So that small ball 5 lineup, I'm really curious to see in this rest of this year versus big teams and in the playoffs, how will they continue to deploy that small ball 5 lineup? And in particular, the lineup that I really love is Jamal Murray, KCP, with Michael Porter, with Aaron Gordon, and with Peyton Watson. That, for me, is probably it. Or if you want to sub it out and you want to do Jamal Murray, Christian Brown with Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon, and Peyton Watson, that's completely fine as well. That way, KCP and Jokic can have that stagger when the 3 other starters go out. I think that they're in a situation now, man, where that lineup can be just so deadly because everybody in that lineup is obviously a plus defender. The worst defender is Jamal Murray, but he's still a above average defender in a playoff setting, or an average defender, which for an elite level scoring guard, that's perfectly fine and perfectly reasonable. But the Nuggets are going to have some really interesting lineup variations to throw out. And again, a lot of this comes down to that dude, Peyton Watson, man, is a beast. And in the lineup, that the 5-man lineups, even the Murray, Watson, KCP, Porter, Jokic lineups, it's a plus 9.1. The lineups that aren't doing well are the ones that are the Jamal Murray, Reggie Jackson lineup with Zeke, Najee, and Christian and Peyton with some minus 2.3. That's just because the offense is just terrible and nowhere to be seen. But the thing is, Peyton is playing really well next to a lot of people. And so there's going to be a lot of things that are going to happen with him that I think are really going to help the team to continue to get a lot better. And Peyton, I think the thing is, when he's slotted next to one of like the offensive players for the Denver Nuggets, he actually plays really well because he's still rounding out his game. Jokic and Peyton, by the way, it's a plus 11.1 on the season so far. They have played 316 minutes together, 115.2 offensive rating. It's not great, but a 104.1 defensive rating. That's incredible. And Peyton Watson and Michael Porter Jr., they played 274 minutes together, a 119.3 offensive rating and a 104.1 defensive rating. That's a plus 15.3. And there's a reason why. Because an elite defender and an elite scorer shooter next to each other on the court, it adds so many layers and so many wrinkles to this team as well. The Peyton Watson KCP lineups, that is plus 7.4 so far on the year. And so basically what you're finding out is that when Peyton Watson is next to any of the great offensive players, they're really great. And some of this is, look, I'm not going to continue to tap into this. There's people that are saying trade Michael Porter Jr. I just, I don't know what else like you need to see. They just won a championship with him, and the reason they won a championship because of the versatility and the size they have. So I want everybody to get this, that the more athletic and the more size and more shooting they have, the better they are. And Michael Porter Jr. also led them in plus minus, I think, in the playoffs. That's a big deal. So he's not shooting like super well in the last few games from three, and then he didn't have a good game yesterday. But sometimes I think that overrides for a lot of people how well he's actually playing on the year. And it really deludes kind of what we're seeing. And he's been averaging 16-7 for most of the season. He's shooting 48% from the field, 40% from three, and 77% from the line. So, I don't want to tell you, man, you're not getting that from 6'10". You're just not getting that from 6'10". And then so if you trade him, who are you trading him for? Like, who's a realistic option given the contract that he has? 3 more years left on this kind of rookie max deal that he's on. So, yeah, it's not going to work out that way. And then again, like, you're throwing multiple defenders in the playoffs, Giannis and LeBron and Kevin Durant and, Jason Tatum. Like, you're going to need those players on the court, and especially fourth placers like that are excellent spot up shooters. So I'm really excited for the small ball unit, man. And again, let me say this. My takeaway from the OKC matchups is there's just not much takeaway from it. You're just not going to continue to find players that, when you're not healthy at the top and then you're playing versus a team that is as good in a regular season setting as they are, you just can't really get a lot of information from it. Now, OKC, they're going to blitz Murray. If they get in a playoff setting, they're going to blitz. They're going to try to make life as difficult as possible on him. Now, I don't think he's going to average less than 21 points a game in that series. I can tell you that much. I do think he's going to have some really efficient games. He's going to have some of those games where he scores 30, 35, 40 like he did versus the Timberwolves. But if they see them kind of where they are slotted now, either in the second or third round, then I think Jamal Murray is going to be very, very good versus that team. But some of this is that they just have not been able to put together a full performance since week 1. And even in that matchup, Jamal Murray didn't have like spectacular numbers, but that's because everybody around the Nuggets was cooking. And then solely Jokic, Murray, Gordon, Porter, KCP, that would present a lot of issues in a playoff setting, especially in the half court versus OKC. Now, some of this is OKC, like Boston, they're going to have that spot up shooting from their 5 in Chet Holmgren, like Boston has with Kristaps Porzingis. Definitely going to add some issues, but the Nuggets just haven't been able to play with the same level of intensity like they did versus Boston or versus like even the Bucks, for instance, just because of the situation surrounding the team at the time. But OKC is a really good team. OKC is a really, really freaking good team. And I think that they offer a lot of issues, a lot of resistance for a lot of teams around the league. And I don't think that's any different than what they're facing with the Denver Nuggets right now. So really shout out to them. Shout out to Shea. Shout out didn't play yesterday with J-Dub. Shout out to Chet, man. They really have done a tremendous job this year. But y'all, in the final segment, I want to talk about my all-star reserves. And I think that there's an interesting conversation to be had about currently where we are in the all-star standings. And do the Denver Nuggets deserve more than one all-star this year? We'll be right back for the final segment here at Locked On Nuggets. Y'all, FanDuel, happy Super Bowl to all who celebrate from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. If you're like me, Super Bowl Sunday is all about scoring the best seat on the couch, grabbing your favorite football snacks, and placing some super bets. I love the atmosphere of the Super Bowl. I love the lead-ins to the Super Bowl. The fact that the game's going to be late, but you're getting commercials, you're getting talks from like 2 p.m. on, where you're going to get nothing but content around the Super Bowl. Can't wait. And FanDuel has so many ways for you to end the season with a W or 2 or 3. Not only can you bet on who will win Super Bowl 58, but FanDuel also has bets for which player will score a touchdown, how many points will be scored, and so much more. And new customers, you join today, you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to sign up. That's FanDuel.com/locked-on. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We'll be right back here at Locked On Nuggets. So, y'all, we are here for the final segment of here at Locked On Nuggets with your host, Swiper. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're talking about the Denver Nuggets with their unfortunate L with no Jokic versus the OKC Thunder, and still a very great game to watch, either you're a Thunder or Denver Nugget fan as well. Y'all, let's talk about some All-Stars. So tonight, I believe on TNT during the Lakers-Boston game, the All-Star reserves, they're going to be announced. And I think this is going to be a really interesting announcement for certain people. And I think for Denver Nuggets fans, unfortunately, I don't know. You know, if I'm being honest, I want to say that I would like to see Jamal Murray in the All-Star game, but given the fact that he's missed 14 games this year, given the fact that there have just been players that have been better than Jamal Murray in a regular season setting, I think it's going to be tough. So let me start the Eastern Conference. So my All-Star reserves for the East, and let's make it a little fun. Drop down in the comment section for you who you think are your Eastern Conference All-Star reserves, and then drop your Western Conference All-Star reserves. Remember, you get 7 picks for All-Star reserves, and you get 2 wild cards. So make sure you do your backcourt, make sure you do your front court, and then from there, do your wild cards as well. So Eastern Conference All-Star reserves, I got Jalen Brunson, New York Knicks, best player on the Knicks, leading them to a 3 seed and potentially a top 2 seed in the Eastern Conference this year. He's been really, really good so far this season. I got Trae Young, man. I don't know why people don't like Trae Young. I get that, like, he doesn't play defense because he's like 5'11" and he's frail and he doesn't have the body type for it. But I do think that Trae Young is a spectacular player. His numbers are good this year. He's been having to lead a team that is devoid of a lot of talent, that has had injuries around it. DeJounte Murray has been a disappointment. I got Jalen Brunson, Trae Young. I got Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if you've seen his numbers all the time, but, man, Donovan Mitchell has been playing really freaking good this year. I got Bam Adebayo as my center. I got Scotty Barnes, which some people seem to be surprised with. But if you look at Scotty Barnes' numbers, like, he's been one of the best wings in the NBA so far this year, and it's not his fault for why the Raptors are struggling so much this year. I got Jaylen Brown. Obviously, got to have another Celtic in there. They're on pace to win 60-plus games. And then finally, I have Jared Allen. Now, what's going to be interesting about this is that because of Embiid's injury, he might end up not playing in the All-Star game, which means you're going to have a reserve that's going to slot in there. So Bam Adebayo might end up starting. Jared Allen then makes it, and then you're going to have another reserve, maybe Julius Randle, that comes in to this game. But, yeah, I got those 7. That's my All-Star reserves in the East. Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, Donovan Mitchell, Bam Adebayo, Scotty Barnes, Jaylen Brown, and Jared Allen. And then let's get to the West. So, Western Conference All-Star reserves. This is tough. I got Steph Curry, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert. So this was tough for me because the Nuggets are going to be another team that's a top 3 in the West, and they're not going to have 2 All-Stars on the roster. Now, Tyrese Maxey more than likely will make it in the East because he's going to get voted in over one of these players. I don't think he should be voted in front of. But I think the issue is that Jamal Murray just quite simply missing the 14 games and having some of the inconsistencies he's had. Like, again, y'all, regular season setting. In a league, you're getting like all-time scoring from all the guards, Steph, even De'Aaron Fox at times. Your Luka, your Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards is shooting well, Trae Young, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey. There are so many players, man, that are just in a regular season setting, they're scoring so many points that watching Jamal Murray in this era and in this league and in a regular season setting, and I'm talking about playoffs here, watching him this year average 21.2 points a game on 58.8 true shooting. Again, volume is not there. He's shooting 48, 41, 86. So, it's not like it's terrible. 48, 41, 86 is good. But he doesn't get to the free throw line a lot in a regular season, and he's just not putting up a whole lot of shots on the season. So, if you don't have super high volume, then you can shot chuck if your volume is 58.5. The league average true shooting this year is a 58.1 if it hasn't adjusted in the last couple of weeks. So he's still shooting around league average. But I just think that Jamal Murray would just need to have better overall numbers. He's been a very good passer this year. He's been a good scorer this year. But that's just not going to be enough. Even if you look at someone like De'Aaron Fox, who has not been the most efficient player in the league. But notice, I didn't even have De'Aaron Fox on my All-Star ballot. And so it's just really hard for me to make a Jamal Murray argument given the talent level. And D Fox this year, 57.5 true shooting, less efficient than Jamal. He's averaging 27.4 and 5.5. And I don't think he's been necessarily as good as Jamal this year. And his numbers are down across the board. Down across the board worse than Jamal in terms of an efficiency standpoint. So it's not like you can even point to that, but his volume is up. And obviously being on a team with Jokic and KCP and MPJ and Gordon and Peyton, they have a much more egalitarian style offense. So they're not going to have a lot of volume from their guard. Again, playoffs, he's going to get up to about 27, 28, maybe even 29. Say this too. I think the thing about Jamal is there's a very real world where he gets into a playoffs, he's shooting 51, 42, 93 on a lot of shots against a game. He's averaging 29 points a game through the first 3 rounds. And people are like, wow. It's very easy for him. But again, the Western Conference is so freaking deep. I got Steph Curry, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards as my guards. Steph Curry, Devin Booker, and Anthony Edwards. So I haven't even, and then this is not including Shea and Luka, which people are bringing up. So they're already the all-star starters. And then you got Steph, Booker, and Edwards, who are all clearly in a regular season setting. They're putting up buckets, they're putting up numbers, and they're just getting to it. And then you got Jamal Murray. Then you got De'Aaron Fox. And then you even got the Brandon Ingram, who's a wing, who is not making it for me. There are just a lot of players. Kyrie Irving isn't even stiff in this game for me this year. And Kyrie Irving's numbers, I'm pretty good. Kyrie Irving this year is averaging 25, 5, and 5 on a 58.6 true shooting. So same efficiency as Jamal, but just more points. He's also getting to the free throw line. Kyrie Irving is shooting 47, 41, 89. So it's just tough, man. There's just so many guards that are in the West, and it just makes it really difficult in order to deal with that. So again, yeah, Dejan, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Luka and SGA are already starting for me, and then you got Booker, then you got Curry, then you got Ant. And then John Morant's not even playing. So let alone John Morant if he was available for this year. So it's just going to be really hard, man, for the All-Star game. And I think for Jamal to eventually make it, he's just going to have to start off the season really well one day. He's going to have to start off the season really well. I'm saying 27 points a game on really good efficiency for the first 25 games of the year, 20 games of the year. And then he can kind of, go down a little bit after that. But that should be about where he is, man. He's just too talented. He's too good. He's too good of a shot maker, too good of a ball handler. He can even get to the rim. You saw versus the Bucks, he got 10 free throw attempts. 10 free throw attempts versus the Bucks. It's just not consistent enough. And then you got AG, who's a great jack of all trades player, but not an all-star. Then you got Michael Porter Jr., who honestly just doesn't get the volume. He's just never going to be an all-star probably in this role. And I think I've already said Peyton Watson has some potential. So there's a very real possibility Peyton Watson continues to develop. His defense carries him to be like a first-team all-defense player, and his offense gets to an 18, 6, and 4 level player at some point in time. So what to see, y'all. That's all it's going to be for Locked On Nuggets. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. Please go and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating. It really helps with getting the podcast out to the people who want to listen to this. Man, shout out to Adam and Matt. They really have done such a phenomenal job with this. And obviously, I'm very glad to be here with the team. Matt and I will be back either tomorrow or this weekend. We'll talk about more Denver Nuggets basketball, y'all. Make sure y'all tap in, like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. I'll see y'all on the other side.